Alright, this is the second video, or probably in order you're watching it, the first video of the water cooling 101 for Supermicro. I'm zooming in on this specific part of the build because behind this red cover is the D5 water pump. And this little red screw there, that basically sets the speed of the pump. Now for the filling, that's quite important. If you turn it clockwise, the speed goes up. Anti-clockwise, the speed goes down. Now the loop will be mostly empty when you start filling it. The thing that you're basically going to do is fill it with liquid, and then have the pump fill the system, the loop completely. But there will be air in the water block, there will be air in the loop itself and in the radiator. Now to get the air out as good as possible, you need to turn this knob before you turn it on clockwise, so it's basically on full speed. That way you can push out the air best out of the radiator. Once the system is completely filled and most of the air is out, then you turn it anti-clockwise again, so it will be less audible. It doesn't really matter for how long it will. The pump won't die sooner or anything, but it just will make less noise if you put it down a bit. So yeah, try and remember. Right now it's about horizontal, which is a decent setting. So if you put it back after filling the loop, then try and put it back on horizontal, and you'll have enough flow to cool, and you'll have less noise to be worked with. Okay, this is part 2 of the filling video. This is basically the same thing you see on a football field where football players drink water out and stuff like that. It's just a filling bottle. It was nothing fancy. This one is still here because I just emptied it. For the other video, don't mind it. It won't be on the system. It has no function right now. When you fill up the loop again, first check if the tap is unclosed, which means it's 90 degrees from the direction of the tap, so it's not in line with the tap. Quite important, because otherwise you will fill it up here and it'll just pour out at the bottom, and that's basically end of game. For the filling, the pump is mounted under the reservoir, just because we have it's an natural way we go here in this world. Everything falls down. You open up, the closest one is easiest, the black stop fitting, and you put it next to the hole. You fill up the bottle, you can just screw this off like it's full with coolant. Then you hang the top into the reservoir with a little wormy stuff, and you just push, and well, it's very easy until the coolant is about the level where well, it's just under the top, so not completely filled up, because air bubbles can make it all sped up, but right up till here. Then you turn on the pump alone. We will show that in the next video. You turn on the pump, the water will go down into the pump, and the pump will pump it round in the loop. If you hear a lot of noise from the pump, just turn off it again, wait a few seconds for the air to bubble out, and then turn it on again, and that way the air will come out of the pump and it'll just basically be pumping the coolant. If it is pumping air too long, you will actually kill the pump, but it's not as complicated as it sounds. When you turn on the pump, you wait for the water level to go down right up to about here, just so there is still a bit of coolant filling up the pump. You do the same thing, you fill it up again until here, you turn on the pump, and you see the water level go down, and you stop until it's here. At some point before the water gets here, it'll again be completely filled in the loop, and it will start pouring down again. So the loop is closed. Then you fill up the reservoir again until this point, and with the pump on the highest setting, you just leave it running for a few minutes. This way you give it time to push out all the air of the water block, and especially the top radiator, because it has just many corners and stuff like that where air gets trapped. When this all happens, at some point the water level will go down and down again until, maybe just a bit. You fill it up again completely when it's running, till up about here, right under the clamp. And when you think, okay, now I'm done, you screw in again the stop fitting. You can do that while it's running, that's no problem at all. You make sure it's just finger tight, good finger tight, and then the system is closed again and you can turn off the pump. I will now make a small extra video and show you at the back of the PC how to operate the pump separately and not turn on the entire system. Alright, part 3 of the filling 101. I'm showing you the back side of the case now, because when you fill a water cooling loop, you do not turn on the entire system to make the pump work. Basically you do this because of 2 reasons. One, because of safety. If you have a leak somewhere in the loop and your entire system is on, you get a shortcut, then it means end of hardware. And when the system is off and you have a leak, you can dry it and save your hardware. The other one is just because it's much easier to turn the pump on and off this way. Basically, in this system, you see here 2 sleeved dark gray, light gray cables. If you pull them out slowly, this is done specifically for this job, you see a 4-pin Molex. It's reachable from the rear if you pull it out, because this is the power connector to the pump. Basically what I do in the system, you will also get this part with the case. This is an on and on switch for a separate power supply. You can basically grab the oldest, ugliest one you have around. Look at this one, it comes from an old Dell, sorry for that. The 24-pin, the motherboard makes the power supply go on, so I'm basically shorting the green and in earth, and that way I can turn on and off the separate power supply. From a separate power supply you grab the Molex and you attach it to the pump power cable. This way you fill up, like I showed you in part 2 of the system, the reservoir. When it's topped up, you turn on the power supply, only the pump will work, and when you see the coolant reach a low level, you turn it off again and the pump goes off. Well, you basically do the same thing that I've shown in the other video. Use it a few times, and if the pump is just pumping air, you do the same thing. You turn it off, you wait for a few bubbles to come up, and you turn it on again. When the entire loop is running for a few minutes, you have bled out all the air, and you have closed the loop again. You can, and you know for sure that there is no leak in the system. Then you don't have to do this anymore. You just unplug these cables. This is the cable from the power supply of the system itself. You put it back on. You gently push it under the mid plate and the wires away. And your system is basically filled up and ready to go. And that's the end of this 101 for the filling. If you have any questions, you can always ask Joost or me through Joost or whatever, but I think everything basic has been told in the videos. So good luck, Computex.